Hi there and welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Now I've got a 5-minute workout up here that's based around 20 strokes a minute at a kind of low intensity, 5 out of 10 is what I call it, where we then increase our pace just by using the power from our legs but holding the stroke rate. Well, today we're going to do it slightly differently. We're going to do the same workout, but instead of being the same stroke rate and adding power, what we're going to do is increase the stroke rate for a short burst just to see how that affects our power. I'm still going to just do it for 5 minutes just to help build up your time on the rowing machine, but hopefully this will teach you a little bit more about the control over your body, okay? Now before we get into our main session, we're going to do a 5-minute warm-up. So in fact, we're actually doing 10 minutes worth of work today. But we're going to start off at a nice low intensity and a low stroke rate, and we're going to build up our intensity over 3 minutes, and then we're going to do a couple of minutes worth of drills just to make sure your body is nice and open. And then we'll get into the main set. But before we can get into our warm-up, we have to set up our machine first. And on an Aviron, that means setting your resistance to where you want it to be. Now, maybe you haven't actually investigated where's the best resistance for you, okay? Now, what I suggest is finding somewhere where you feel like you get a nice feeling from the stroke, as in you can feel the weight of the machine, but you don't have to tug and heave and against it in order to get it moving. But also you don't want it to be so easy that you're just like rowing through air. And it's the same on a Concept 2. If you're using the Aviron app for a Concept 2, I want you to find a drag factor, the lever setting, where you feel you get a nice sensation from it, but it's not like really tiring, okay? If after like 2-3 minutes you feel your upper body's on fire, you've got it set too high, okay? So lower it down a bit and find the setting really where you want it. I have mine set to 10 most of the time, to be honest, so that might be a good guide on the Aviron. And if you're using a Concept 2, I set my lever to run about 5, which gives me a drag factor of 140, and that drag factor is more important, so read up about that, all right? Next up, let's go to our foot straps and set them at a height which allows us to come into the front of the machine with our shins in a vertical position comfortably. And comfortably is the important word there, okay? Because if you're set too high, you can get a little bit stuck and not quite get to that vertical position. Whereas if your feet are set too low, it's quite easy to go past that vertical position, and what happens then is your backside goes out from underneath you and you lose power. A good rule of thumb here is that you have the strap covering the bottom lace in your shoe, that kind of horizontal lace in your shoe, which means that the strap will be covering the balls of your feet. And once you do that, you can have a wee row, see how you feel. Do you want to go a wee bit higher, a wee bit lower? It's up to you, just for your comfort, okay? But use that across the balls of your feet, bottom lace of your shoe as a starting point, all right? So, less talking, more rowing. Okay, so let's get into our 5-minute warm-up. Like I said, we're going to start off at a nice, gentle intensity at 20 strokes a minute just to get our body moving, and then we'll increase that intensity to a wee bit of drills, and then take a break, and then we'll do our main session. All right, so if you're ready to go, we're going to get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quickly just talk about the boring stuff, the body positions, the technique side of things, just as we get started in today's row, so that you can then keep that stuff up for the rest of it, all right? I'll try and get through as quick as possible, but it's always important to talk about angles and things. So, the most important things are that you have a forwards tilt over your hips towards the front of the machine as you come in ready to take your stroke. And then along with that forwards tilt, you want to make sure your arms are straight. Now remember, we're still not pushing hard here, okay? I just want you to think about your body angles for the first minute or so. So forwards tilt, straight arms as you come into the front, and slide far enough that your shins are in that vertical position, okay? Don't worry if you can't get there due to flexibility, but just make sure it's not because your foot stretchers are too high. You can work on flexibility, but it's easier to change your foot stretcher height. Then, at the back of the stroke, you want to be in a backwards tilt, okay? So you're in a 1 o'clock forwards tilt and an 11 o'clock backwards tilt to finish. And for now, that's the most important thing, okay? So forwards tilt, straight arms, and then finish with a backwards tilt. And we'll talk about the rest of the stuff through this workout and subsequent workouts, but just think about that for the time being. And now you can start to just push a little harder with your legs. So as you come forwards, push a bit harder with the legs, but keep those arms nice and straight as you do so, and the power from your legs will flow up through your body and into your arms. And if you keep those arms nice and straight as you push in your legs and only pull at the back of the stroke, that's how the power gets into the machine. And so what you're looking for intensity-wise now is that you're working hard enough that you can feel your heart rate increase, breathing increases, but it doesn't feel really, really hard. Okay, so you should still be able to talk while working at this intensity. I heard someone say that you should be able to talk, have a conversation with someone, but you wouldn't be able to sing a song. I quite like that way of putting it, because obviously you have to stop if you're having a conversation to let someone else speak, but when you're singing you don't. Right, we're going to take 2 more strokes and then put 1 foot on the ground. Sorry, I threw that one at you. So unstrap, put 1 foot on the ground and continue rowing. Now this is kind of the standard way that I warm up in all of my main sessions, with the kind of the easing into it and then single leg rowing. So you'll get used to this, and don't worry if it takes you a few seconds to swap feet and things. It's not the end of the world. Talking of swapping feet, let's do just that. Put the other one on the ground and then continue rowing. And what this does is it helps with your flexibility coming forwards into the front of the machine, because you don't have both legs and hips tightening up on you, so you can be a little bit more open with that forwards tilt. We're going to take 2 more here and then put both feet back in. Last one. So both feet back in, tighten your straps, and then legs nice and straight, and row with your back and arms. So you swing over your back, pull in your arms, then out with your arms, and tilt forwards over your back again. Okay, so you're hinging forwards and backwards here. You're not rolling your lower back or your upper back. You're tilting forwards and backwards. Now let's do 1 more here. Roll into the front, arms straight with that forwards tilt, and just push out with your legs. And what I want you to do here is really concentrate on keeping your arms nice and straight as you push out from the front. So you're not pulling your arms at all. And if you can hold that forwards tilt as well, all the better. You'll see I'm not pulling my arms, I'm just pushing out with my legs. 1 more here. And we're all done. So once you've had a quick drink, maybe have a little bit of a wiggle of your backside too, because actually having your sit bones kind of pressing down onto your backside is what causes a little bit of discomfort. So if you make sure you have a wee wiggle, then it can help, all right? So what we're gonna do today is 5 minutes worth of rowing. We're gonna do this at 20 strokes a minute at a low intensity, kind of round about what you finished off the first 3 minutes of that warm-up at, if you get what I mean, that kind of 5 out of 10 walking upstairs intensity. And then what we're going to do is after 45 seconds, we're going to do 15 seconds at a higher stroke rate, okay? And that's going to increase our pace, and we're going to see what happens just by going at a slightly higher stroke rate. And then we're going to go back to that easy, then we're going to go up, down, up, down. Do that 5 times, 5 minutes is gone, we can go do something else, okay? If that makes sense. So that is the plan. If you're all lubricated with a drink and you're all ready, then we can get into this, all right? So let's get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. So remember, 20 strokes a minute and that 5 out of 10 low intensity for the first 45 seconds here, okay? And if you can try and hold a nice even stroke rate and pace, that's all the better. Stroke rate's easy enough because it's just 1 stroke every 3 seconds. But your pace, really, consistency comes from technique. I hate to bang on about technique all the time, but if you can make sure and get into the right body positions each time and press with an even push of your legs, you'll find your pace is quite consistent. So get ready for our first increase in stroke rate. All I want you to do is push harder with the legs, okay? So after this one, let's go. So if you push harder with the legs, what happens is you have a faster drive speed. And if you couple that with a faster recovery, your stroke rate will go up. Let's do 1 more. and then ease back down to 20 strokes a minute again. That's it. That's all we're gonna do for the 5 minutes of today's workout. It's a really quick burst at a higher stroke rate, followed by 45 seconds down at this lower stroke rate. And so this is all about teaching you control of your rowing stroke, but also just building up time on the rowing machine if you're just beginning. Because everyone needs to build up from somewhere. Right, 2 more strokes. You ready? Let's go up. Increase that stroke rate. So push harder with the legs. Keep those arms straight at the front and try and keep them straight as you're pushing with the legs too. Last stroke, down to 20 strokes a minute again. And again, like these 45 seconds, I'd really like it if you could try and keep a consistent stroke rate when you increase it as well. So, say you're going up to 26 strokes a minute, try to see if you can hold 26 strokes a minute for the whole 15 seconds, and possibly the same pace too, give or take a couple of seconds, of course. Okay, so 1 more stroke. You ready to go nice and fast again? Here we go. So just increase that rate. I'm up at 27 strokes a minute, so you could always just row when I row, and that will help. 1 more. And I'm going 10 seconds faster when I increase my stroke rate. So really, just by thinking about increasing my rate, that's where speed is coming from. So yeah, I am having to push harder with my legs as well, but at a higher stroke rate, it becomes easier because you've got that flywheel moving all the time. It's not slowing down as much, and therefore you go faster. Okay, 1 more stroke here. Let's take it back up again. So remember to keep that forwards tilt to the front. Try to hold those arms nice and straight for at least half of your leg drive. Let's take 2 more. 1 more. There we go. Back down to that gentle pace. And then we've got 1 more high rate to do, and then we're all done. Now this may have been like a super fast workout for you, and you're like, oh, I've got more in me. In which case, just take a look at some of the other workouts I've got up here and do one of them as well. You'd be surprised how much you can actually do when you break it down into smaller chunks like this, and you're like, actually, it's just my brain that stops me, not my body. Okay, 1 more stroke, and our last high rate. So push harder with the legs, arms nice and straight at the front, only pull as you get to the back of the machine. Last 2 strokes. Last one. Ta-da. And that's it. 5 minutes just flew by in a flash. So like I said, if you're like, I've got more in me, just take a look, find the other workouts that are up here, or go play a game or something. Just kind of do something that allows you to row further, because it could be, like I said, your brain that's stopping you from rowing longer. Maybe you've only ever managed to do 5 minutes before, and now you're like, you know what, today that's 10 minutes worth of rowing I've done. It's because you've been distracted by this. This is why I'm here. I'm here to distract you. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to entertain you as well. So, anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this row. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please get in touch and let me know if you did on the Facebook groups, and I'll try and say hello. And then that's 5 minutes fast done. So if you want to use a hashtag somewhere just to say you did it, then 5 minutes fast will do. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in a future video. Until then, please take care and be well. Bye-bye.